So today's guest is Olivia Lee. Welcome, Olivia. How are you getting on?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you. Not too bad at all.
Yeah.
So obviously, I know you fairly well from, I guess, previous exposure with Recharge, where you very kindly donated your time to help a couple of people get into pretty good shape for our No Excuses campaign. But
Yep.
yeah, it'd be great to, I guess, tell the audience a little bit about you, your background, and what you're up to now.
Yeah. My background's a bit more athletic, performance based. I was a climber for about 20 years. Um, Climbed for Great Britain. Stopped climbing competitively. Went coaching. Quite a high standard too. And then kind of, I guess, when lockdown hit, I ended up dropping the coaching of that just because it was I kind of realized that it was taking the enjoyment of the sport
Okay.
away from me, kind of
Yeah.
thing. And then I've also just done a load of other things, so like triathlons,
Nice.
marathons, CrossFit style
Yeah, I was
training.
going to say it's a real mix, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I've kind of come to the conclusion I love just training,
Yeah.
and that I love testing my body in different ways, the and just not being satisfied with anything, just doing a bit of everything and enjoying it. And
So the
yeah,
climbing days, they're behind you, but the pull-ups, they remain forever because you're an absolute
always.
pull-up machine.
Yeah.
What have
In
you got
fact,
to? I've seen you doing like 25 strict in a row or something crazy.
I can, yeah, yeah. So I think I've got 26. Once I start getting a bit more food in me and getting some energy again, I'm gonna go for it, because with my weight being this low at the minute, then yeah,
So yeah, so let's
I'm
unpack that
feeling a
then. So right
30.
now you're pretty light because you've been putting yourself again, challenging your body in a
Yeah.
different way. What have you? But you're on a cut, aren't you, with a photo shoot coming up?
Yeah, yeah. So I think I've done in total, as of tomorrow, it will be 13 weeks.
13 weeks, and it's
Yeah.
been pretty full on.
Um, it's so strange. It's gonna get into so many. I'm gonna open like a can of worms with this kind of response now, but um, I could have gone longer.
Yeah.
I could have been even harsher on myself.
Okay.
One, just because I'm at this point and I'm just like, I could be so much better than what I am.
So I guess going
However,
back then to the start, because you're 13 weeks in, but like what
yeah,
day one, what you said already that you like to challenge yourself, what was the motivation for you? Why have you decided to put
mine
yourself
was
through what's
PT,
quite, say again, sorry,
to be a better PT. Simple as
purely
that.
from a personal training
Yeah.
perspective?
Um, that there's a few other reasons, but mainly to be a better PT. And I think I reminded myself of that today, because after speaking to quite a few other people, they're always like, "Oh, you even competitors, you before you go on stage, you just like you don't feel you're ready. You feel like you could be so much better at this, that, and the other." Um, and then I would kind of beat myself up about it. I just kind of had to remember today. So I journaled this morning. I was like, you know what? I did this to be a better PT, because I've always been performance based. And with this, I just think, I've got to put myself through what clients are wanting to go through.
Yeah.
So, and to feel that hunger, to feel, um, just like trying to find a routine that works for you, even the lifestyle aspect of it. And that was the main reason why I've done it. And I've
Yeah.
learned so, so, so much.
I think that is so important because when you traditionally, as a personal trainer, you get your 45-minute block, your hour block with a client, and you're working them hard. You're there to kind of motivate, you're there to inspire, to talk them through it. And yes, you can succeed in that hour, but it's that other 23 hours a day and the days that you're not seeing them,
Yeah,
what are they doing? And what might come may or may not come naturally to you in terms of being disciplined, being accountable to yourself. For other people, that's actually really difficult. And now you've put yourself in a
exactly.
position where you never need to be more disciplined.
Yeah.
I imagine your calories are pretty low. Like, how many calories have you been having?
Um, so this week was a refeed week. So it was 1,400 calories on refeed.
Can you just explain, just for the audience, what a refeed
Yeah.
We could, 'cause I think
So basically, because you've deprived your muscles of glycogen and just you've it's to fill it back up with glycogen, so you tend to have more carbohydrates, which psychologically was just like blew my mind.
yeah,
Because I'm like, I don't want to eat more because I don't want to put weight on before a shoot. Like, wait, what? Um, but it's so that you look fuller
yeah,
and you don't look flat, you don't look kind of tired and drawn and that kind of thing. So you tend to do a refeed before. Obviously, different coaches will do it differently. You might have refeed and then kind of cut down again. It kind of goes off what it is you're doing as well, I guess. But I can't speak for comp people because I've not done a competition. It's
yeah,
not for that.
yeah.
It's to kind of look healthy and full. And yeah, so this last week I've been on 1,400 calories. And like I said, that's been an increase in carbohydrates as well. And then just before that, I went as low as like 1,100 calories the week before, sorry.
And what, so at that low point then, so say 1-1, I mean, that
Yeah,
is insanely low, isn't it? For most people, especially
yeah,
someone that is exercising a lot, and I know you would have had to do a lot of steps and you're probably still doing the gym and you're training people. That
yeah,
is low. How did you
yeah.
feel like on that many calories?
Um, you know what? Actually, not too bad. Um, Not too bad in a weird way. I actually found the increase in carbohydrates this last week even harder because
Mentally?
no, yeah, but once I'd eat, I'd just go so lethargic with the carbs.
Yeah, yeah, got
I'd
that.
just be like, once I've eaten, I was just for the next couple of hours after, I was like, I'm there like falling asleep. I'm like, oh my God, come on. And then obviously being a PT, I'm trying to an class instructor as well, like my 6 a.m. classes. I'm like, come on, guys, keep going. And then about an hour later, I'm like, oh my God, I'm too tired for this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's something I am quite proud of is the fact that I've managed to keep up my energy in my PT sessions and my classes.
And you think that's just because you've had so much focus and you go, right, it is a 11-week or 13 weeks, did you say, sorry? But it's like it's a
Yeah,
focus period where you're going to work really hard. You know what the goals are, you know why you're doing it, and you're just going to apply yourself as much as
yeah.
possible.
I think the kind of between like halfway and 3/4 point, I'd say was probably one of the what's the word? Probably mentally the hardest because it was at that point you're kind of like, right, you're halfway there now, but your motivation's gone.
Yep.
It's as simple as that. Like, motivation goes for it, and you have to. That's when building the habits and the routine of everything and just getting it done really kind of comes into play
Yeah.
because
And
there
with
are a lot of
motivation,
days you
how do
just
you find, like, in terms of like keeping yourself motivated? I find the both mirror and the scales are two like metrics that you can use.
yeah,
Mirror is obviously a bit subjective, but you will have days where you'll look better or you'll feel
yeah.
better than other days.
I
But
actually found pushing the weights. So I up until the last maybe 3 weeks, I've not increased my weights. I've still progressively overloaded up until that point. So I've got stronger.
really,
Yeah.
I
Um
mean that to me doesn't, like, scientifically doesn't make much sense. But
Scientifically, yeah. Um
mentally, if you're in that frame of mind where you're like, I'm absolutely going to crush this, then I can see if you're pushing out that extra, say, 5% in terms of effort, then actually that makes sense that there could be
yeah.
improvements, but equally it must be more kind of neural as opposed to kind of putting on muscle, because it's hard to put on muscle if you're in a deficit.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I'm because one of the kind of things that put me off, especially with it being winter as well, as like bulking season, whatever you want to call it, is I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna like I don't want to lose all my strength.
Yeah.
And a few people just said to me like train right and like still push yourself for as long as you can and you should be okay. Like if anything, you'll come out and maintain. I'm like, oh, okay. Um and then I mean like take the leg press, for example, about when I first started, I was on 200 kilo for like 8 reps, and about 3-4 weeks ago, I was at 300 kilo for 10 reps.
Yeah, I mean, you've lost a lot of weight though, right? It's not
Yeah.
that you kind of, not this whole thing's been like a miserable failure. You have done really well.
No. Yeah.
It's just mad to think that you've lost weight and potentially packed on a bit of muscle somehow.
Yeah.
Did you were you kind of fairly consistently in a deficit, or did you have certain days where you'd eat more?
No, consistently. So I did it daily, kept the same calories per day. I know a lot of coaches and people do kind of your calories for on and off days. So like my off day had slightly more fat than
Dropped
but
the other day. Yeah, makes sense.
yeah. But other than that, no, it was just daily for my calories, which I stuck to. And
By the
I
way, I'd
think
say, like, if you're eating 1,100 calories, your maintenance must be what, at least 2-1, I would assume.
so. When I first, this last week, the refeed week, we built it back up to roughly just below, around my new maintenance.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, before I was eating about 2,000 plus calories easy.
Yeah.
However, I look back at my photos now and I'm just like, I was massively overeating for the end. So being performance based, and especially coming from a running background as well, where you can get away with eating all that, and then all of a sudden I like, for quite a while I kind of was teetering between, oh, I'm feeling like going for a run today, I'll do that. I feel like lifting today, I'll do that. And I wasn't structuring anything right.
Okay.
So like I look back and I'm like, you know what, I was definitely like overeating for what I actually needed. And you'd be surprised how little the body needs. However, I know, I'm aware this is a podcast going out to probably a lot of people, so I will say, like,
let's say 1,100 calories is not normal.
No, it's not, and it's not sustainable. And that is kind of something I've been telling myself as well, is that, this is not sustainable. Like, you are gonna have to eat more, you are gonna have to watch the scale come back up, and it is normal, it is natural. Like, and that's what I've been mentally preparing myself for, because I know a lot of people have kind of gave me the advice of, be careful coming out of it. So I've got that to come, but I'm twisting it in a way to really look forward to putting on weight, if that makes
I think that does make sense. So yeah, we've covered our backs by saying 1,100 calories is not a normal. Shouldn't do that.
Not even 1,200. That was built down gradually.
Of course.
And that was also to those people thinking that I just like cut 100 calories off every week. It's not. It will go off how my body reacted to the kind of the steps, the cardio, the training. If my weight was going down nicely, then we'd like we kind of sometimes keep it the same. If it hadn't moved, plateaued a bit, then we'd decrease it. And it was doing it in a way that was.
That's actually a really
very gradual
separate point, but something really important to flag is when you typically lose weight, even if you're being consistent, you don't lose weight in a structured way. It's not like you lose in half like that. It's a bit up and down with water retention, releasing. It's all over the place, and that's quite tough as well.
Yeah, especially as a female. Yeah. And like one day you'll have a new low and I'm like, oh my God, yes. And then the day after I'm like, I've gained half a kilo. Like, how is that possible? But yeah. No, it's something that's definitely, like I say, it makes me realize as a PT as well. Your weight does fluctuate massively, and even just the amount of salt you eat. I've been regulating that this week and a few weeks before, and even that alone, like,
it's mad. Absolutely. Yes, it's crazy. You just hold that extra water, don't you? So it sounds like as a kind of a thing for you to use as a tool to help you learn, it's been great for your own knowledge, and that empowers you as a personal trainer, as a coach, when you're helping other people. and you
Yeah.
double that up with just a bit of a challenge for yourself, which you obviously you enjoy doing anyway.
Yeah. And like I say, I think if there are any PTs listening, like, do it. Just do it. Put yourself through it, because you will learn so much, and you have a different approach. I think in some ways I'm a much tougher PT now. Like, before I'd be a
Make you
bit
an absolute
lean, a
savage.
bit too, yeah,
Well,
I'd
oh
be a
no,
bit
since
too
she's done that,
lenient.
she's got hanger going through her body.
Well, that as well, but no, I think in terms of leniency, I was very much like, oh, they'd be like, oh, I just don't understand why my weight's not gone down. I've done everything you said. And like, especially at the start when I'm losing like a kilo a week, and I didn't think I had a kilo a week to be losing.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's BS. What aren't you telling me? And then I'm like, where is it you've gone wrong? Have you got your steps right? Show me that then. And then they've got,
Actually, so when you're training personal, and I think it will obviously vary person to person, but do you generally kind of say, here's your exercise plan, but actually these are the calories that you should be hitting to meet your goals? And are they tracking, or?
I do it differently. So for me personally, I have your strength sessions, which are separate. They're something you want to be progressively overloading, focusing on whatever their goal is in particular. Then alongside that, depends if they're doing fat loss fits. Let's go for fat loss, for example. And obviously this would depend on person to person, but your steps and your cardio will be separate. So as well, so like if you were to, basically, as long as you've got something to track your calories, some form of watch ideally, and you keep using the same watch, make sure it goes off active calories. Your steps don't count towards your cardio doesn't count towards your steps. Which was, I won't lie, when you get diet brain, which is a thing, like, what new mums, when they're like, oh, baby brain and all that, I never used to believe in that. I was like, oh, she's just being a bit dippy. Nope, diet brain, definitely, because I'd have to try and, because my watch would still count the steps on the stepper, but I would be tracking the stepper as cardio.
Yeah, fine.
So I'd then be there doing the maths, like, right, so I've already done like 12,000 steps. This is saying I've done like 4,000 steps. Now how many more steps do I have to do for the rest of the day? And it was, mind-boggling.
Offline, by the way, you said you're doing 17,000 steps a day as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a hell of a few weeks.
I might as well do a marathon a day.
Yeah. If you were to do anything differently, what would you do? Are there any changes you'd make?
Oh, that's a really good question.
I think you've weirdly enjoyed it, and I reckon you do an extra.
I've loved it. I will do it again. Happily do it again. And for everyone said, like, for a first cut, you've done really well. I mean, in my eyes, I'm one of those people where nothing I ever do is ever good enough, and it could always be better. But hence why I'm excited to come back even leaner and even better.
I got a feeling that you've got an announcement coming soon. I'm doing a competition next year.
No, you know what? I've toyed with the idea on and off. However, at the minute, I'm still very like 67 to not gonna do it.
Yeah.
One, I really like just a few things, and honestly though, I will say serious fair play. I have a lot of friends who are bodybuilders, they've been digging at me to do one for years, and like, oh, because of your shoulders you do really well, and this, that, and the other, and I'm like, yeah, but fair play to them, because the routine, the structure, the
Pure discipline.
it's so tedious. It's so the monotony of it. I won't lie, after coming from someone that does so many different things, like, I miss going climbing, I miss going for a run with friends, I miss even just going eating out. Like, I don't care, I'll take my Tupperware box. However, sometimes
Don't
some of the
tell me you're
people
on a fish and a rice cake. Not one of those.
like, And especially some places are a bit picky with like, so I went to a few family do's actually, and I was there with my Tupperware box, and the place where I went to wouldn't let me microwave it, which is fair enough because their argument was if I was to get ill off that, then it would be on them, and like I say, fair play to it, but it's stuff like that which
Socially quite limiting, isn't it?
very, very limiting. And I would, if I was to do it, go on stage and do it, I would do it. I would need to do a longer diet phase,
Yeah.
and I would need to be even stricter with it because even up until relatively near the end, I was still quite lenient with regards to how I was getting my protein sources. I'd mix it up and my carbs and stuff like that. As long as it was hitting the right macros and calories, like it was okay.
Yep.
And things like that. So fair play to bodybuilders, serious fair play to them. However, that side of it, to dedicate that much to it, and I think as well with bodybuilders, they have to dedicate their off seasons to it as well. It's not just like a 20-week shred that they'll do. It's like even when they're bulking or they're off season, they're still got to be so strict if they want to be the best at it.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
it's as simple as that.
But as well, I imagine for you, like even say tomorrow you have your shoot, you're finished, you don't just go back to eating 2,000 plus calories a day, you just reverse out of it.
Yeah, I would. I'm looking forward to reversing out, definitely. I am and I'm not. There's some kind of aspect of it I'm a bit like, oh God, like I'm already at that. I'm gonna be gaining weight. I quite like how I look, how lean I look, and
that's I think that's a part of it is, it's a real big physical challenge in terms of hunger and your body adapting and somehow you're still having energy. Mentally it's difficult when you're kind of having days where you don't feel quite as ripped as the previous day, or you feel a bit flatter, and then the monotony, like you said, is another mental challenge. But some of the challenge actually comes after you finish that period. It's how do you go out, and I actually think for me personally, I'd be a bit like a light switch, and I'd be like really strict, really strict, really strict, donuts, donuts, donuts. But actually that's how you balloon, and you see that a lot from all these kind of
I was
diets, and it's
awful.
Say, you need to be really strict for the next 4 weeks as well, where you're slowly building up calories.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that was quite good. So like my coach, I think that was the good side of being a little bit more lenient with regards to kind of how I was getting my calories and macros for the most of it. So it was still very much lifestyle-y and and I mean, when I sat down with my coach and kind of went through it, he kind of said to me, what's your end goal look like? How, like for the shoot? And I'm like, I don't know. I've never done it before. I don't know. I just want to be at a point where I'm like, yeah, I'm proud of myself. Like, I've pushed myself as hard as I can. Couldn't have done any more. And I'd be happy with that. But then we kind of also said at the end of the day, I'm not me if I'm not, if I was to be as lean, I think, as some of the bodybuilders. Like at the end of the day, I'm a hybrid. I love it. I love that I can go lift crazy heavy weights, do Olympic lifting, but yet go out and run a half marathon on a Wednesday, like whatever.
You've defied logic now by the fact that you're still managing to be able to do that, or could do that with your energy levels, and the fact that you're on a massive deficit, but that's not normal.
Maybe, yeah. Like the female Ross Edgley incoming. Yeah.
Right, should we get into some quick fire questions? I think we've unpacked a lot there, and it's been really fascinating. Yeah. But now you're ready for the recharge quick fires, which as fast as you can, but they're going to be all over the place.
Okay.
Ultimate cheat meal.
Cake. Just brownies, cake.
Good choice.
Yeah.
What are you reading right now? Not obviously right this second, but in general. Are you reading?
I've not had time at the minute, but I'm trying to remember which one. I do have a book upstairs.
It's a quick fire.
Diet brain's kicking in. You can't quick fire on a diet brain. A
Harry
pass. I
Potter.
pass.
What's your
Yeah.
biggest insecurity?
What other people think of me. Hence why if I was to do a bodybuilding competition, it would be so that I could go and stand up on stage and not care about what place come, what the judges say, to have that ability and security in myself to overcome that fear. That is the only reason why I do a bodybuilding competition. There you go.
Favorite emoji?
Oh, the eye roll. I roll my eyes a lot,
I need an
like a
impression.
lot.
We need an impression, otherwise. There we go. If you could, or you had to choose one of never climbing again or never gymming again, which one would you go for? Which would you give up?
Oh, don't
Brutal.
Don't do that.
You're going to get a lot of haters, aren't you, one way or another?
Yeah. You know what? Probably climbing. I've been there. I've done that. I've been at a high,
Sorry if you get
very
loads of people
high level.
unfollow.
There's a load of other sports I can do.
Yeah.
You didn't say deep water soloing, which is climbing over the sea. So you know.
Oh, yeah, you found a
There
way
you go.
around it. Who's the hardest trainer that you know?
Hardest trainer. That what? Sorry.
Works the hardest in the gym?
In my particular gym or
Well,
any gym
anyone
or in
that you know.
general? Anyone that I know.
We're going to give some a shout out, you see. We're going to say fair play to X person, you train really hard.
You know what? Asked to be one of my clients. She has so much going on. I'm going to give a shout out to Amy because she has so much going on in her life and she still finds the time to come down and always with a smile on her face. So shout out to Amy.
Yeah, shout out Amy, well done. I think in life there's always things going on, there's always reasons for excuses.
Yeah.
She's finding time, then fair play. What is your bench PR? I know that's something that we've talked about in the past and I wanted to know if it's gone up at all.
It's 60 kilos. However, my upper sessions, because my pull is apparently too strong,
Yes.
I need to even it out. My upper sessions have just been like push, pull. I've had like 1 or 2 pull exercises.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to be rolled out of it because I know for a fact I want to be aiming for 70 kilo.
Yeah, nice. Well, we'll watch that journey. Do let us know once you've hit it.
Will do. What's
the most overrated exercise in the gym?
Oh, overrated.
Yeah, overrated.
Oh, that's a hard one. I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this now, but I don't think rack pulls do it for me.
Not for you.
No, especially when I see people do them and they're practically stood up anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's like a shrug.
Yeah.
Not even that, or I'd probably go with a shrug. Like, if you're gonna work them hammies and them glutes, you do it from the floor. I don't know. That's my personal opinion. I'm gonna get hate for it.
It's all about your personal opinion. It's all good. It's been a pleasure. You've passed the quick fire with flying colours. Maybe
with diet break.
Let us know about the book in the future.
I have too many books, to be fair. I have that many on the go that I can't focus on one at the minute. But yeah.
Cool. Well, it's been lovely chatting.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on.
By the time this gets released, I'm sure all of your pictures will be out. So looking forward to seeing what you've managed to achieve.
Me too. I'll see how tanned I look on it.
Cheers, Olivia. I'm just going to click stop.
All right.